5-minute.
It's up to you.
Let everyone get into it. I believe we are live now, so please, no swearing. Let's not talk about our audience like we usually talk about them when we're not on air. That'd be rude, quite frankly. I know we're at 6 o'clock, and we would usually just launch into it at this point, but let's do a 5-minute to get everyone settled. If everyone wants to join us, and again, if you want to head to your various social medias and let everyone know that we are live. And as always, thank you very much indeed to our fantastic viewers who have sent in pictures to pics@anenglishmaninsandiego.com. Thank you so much for your support. We don't have any countdown clock at the moment because, well, we're running a bit late, so we're going to be starting arbitrarily, kind of. But yeah, what we'll do is we'll give it a couple of minutes, and like I say, if you do want to head to your social medias and just let everyone know that we are now live. Today we're going to be talking about Jessica Jones.
Oh,
which is,
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, we could wait and talk. We'll wait and talk, but
oh no, I think we're going to be keeping it pretty spoiler free.
Yes, spoiler free, but
it is going to be spoiler free. Don't worry, everybody.
Yeah.
But
that said,
I mean, then again, whereabouts? Oh, sure, we will talk about it when we get to.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when we get to the show, the main show.
If you just joined us, yes, we are running a little bit late, but only a little. So yeah, do share, people. Let everyone know on social media where we are and what we're doing. Of course, if you want to jump in on the Q&A as well, if you go to the Google Plus event, and it does have all the details there on how you can interact. The viewer count is going up, so people do join us from 6. You see, we should actually start at 5 past then every week, so everyone kind of can get settled.
Isn't that the normal way to start a show at 5 past anyway?
Isn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, in all the theater shows that I've ever worked, I mean, legit theater. Concerts are a different animal entirely, because they just go on whenever they go on. But legit theater was always at 5 past.
Well, that's so Benedict Cumberbatch can have a pee first and kind of get him.
Well, it's, because everybody pushes it to the last minute. You gotta let people have that last glass of wine, to enjoy the show with. Speaking of, I've been getting a lot of really interest. I've been seeing a lot of stuff about a new show, Broadway show called Hamilton, which I would love to see. Rap about the American Revolution. So it sounds fascinating. It's a rap show that I love. Musical theater. Who would have ever thought? If anybody knows me, they know that I'm
a musical.
It's like musical theater.
It's about the American Revolution.
Yes.
Somebody got very, very drunk when they thought that one up.
As the gentleman who wrote the show is Puerto Rican. And he said basically that there are 3 roles for me in musical theater, and he listed a West Side Story, the classics and all of that. So he said the only way I'm going to get a role for me as a minority is if I write it myself. So he came up with it. He did a little blurb at the White House for Obama, and then put on a show, and it's selling out big time. So it's pre-show chatter here.
Indeed. If you are joining us, head over to the Q&A. We're going to go live. Well, we're going to start the show proper in about 60 seconds or so. But do jump in on the Q&A. Let everyone know if you're watching. And, of course, what you're getting up to. Corgi Commander is saying hello from Heroes and Villains Fan Fest. Now, he sent us a picture. It's actually up on the on the pictures at the moment. He must have sent it early on this week. Yeah, I'm hearing about this con, but I don't know a great deal about it. I'm still kind of in a bit of a pause mode since Thought Bubble last week. I shall explain more in a second. Greetings from a very cold and snowy South Dakota. We received twice our monthly snowfall in one day on Friday, up to 18 inches in some places. That's from Craig Linders. Hello, Craig. What's this? Hello, hey Corgi Commander. Rando from the forum is there too, apparently. Janine is telling Jason Coe. So keep your eyes open for Rando.
Rando, and I've also heard that one of the group leaders, and I always mispronounce her name, I think she's buying group 2 leader, is there too. Omega 9. I know I'm mispronouncing that. So. Okay.
Your lower third isn't showing, Alyssa. So
yes, you were supposed to remind me of that.
Remind you, but there we go. Welcome to A Cup of Tea. No, I always get it wrong. You can tell what kind of weekend I'm having. So let's try that one again. Welcome to Talking Comic-Con, A Cup of Tea with an Englishman in San Diego. I'll tell you why I'm a little bit kind of scatty and doolally. I haven't got a cup of tea. I've just got water. I'm just really dehydrated at the moment, and I'm just needing plenty of water. So bear with me. I may be a little bit cotton mouth in places. This is our weekly Google Plus Hangout where we talk San Diego Comic-Con, Comic-Con culture in general, and also all the stuff and nonsense that goes off around Comic-Con, including pop culture, television, movies, toys. We talk about anything that you want us to talk about. This is absolutely a roundtable. It's your show, and you can totally get interactive with us. You can either jump on the Google Plus event page and hop on the Q&A and let us know where you are, where you're watching from, and of course what you want to talk about. Or you can jump on Twitter as well and use the hashtag #CupOTSDCC. We'd love to hear from you, and if there's anything you want to talk about today, do let us know. It's kind of a quiet one, and I'll explain. I had my last big con of 2015, which was Thought Bubble last week. That was in Leeds, and I had a great time. But ever since then, I've been kind of like been on a bit of a pause. I've just felt like, okay, now what? So I'm kind of in that kind of post-con season funk. Let's see how my guest is feeling at the moment. Alyssa Franks from the Friends of CC Forum. How are you, Alyssa?
I would second the post-con funk. I think also the darkness of Jessica Jones is suiting my mood currently.
Can I say as well, because before we really properly get into Jessica Jones, can I just say what genius programming it was to film it in the summer, or film it whenever they were filming it, with the intention of releasing it in November as the nights are getting darker and the temperature is dropping, because it was such a cold series. Because, okay, I will admit, I've seen the whole thing now. It was released on Friday and I've seen it. Where are you up to, Alyssa? I know you've been watching.
I've just finished about 15 minutes ago. I just finished episode 8. So we're trying to do spoiler free, and
absolutely.
For everybody that's here. But yeah.
Yeah.
So getting into it.
Yeah.
Getting into it. I have to say the writing is amazing.
To be honest, I'm actually stunned across the board with every single element of the production, from writing, from acting. I think, I mean, I've been a reasonable fan of Kristen Ritter's up to now, but when she's turned around and said that this is absolutely the role that she was born to play and the role she's lived for, you totally buy that, because she's an absolute perfect embodiment of this Jessica Jones. It's certainly not the Jessica Jones we may know from the comics, because the comics, she's a little bit more like Constantine. She's a little bit more wisecracking. She's a little bit sunnier in places. This is a very goth Jessica Jones. that we see in this series. What have you thought about the acting and the people we've seen? Because there's
the acting is brilliant. David Tennant is amazing. I'm just starting to really get into. I think this episode 8 was the big David Tennant. Where you start seeing the backstory of his character, and he just, every time I see him, the Doctor Who, he did that murder detective thing a while ago, and now this.
I keep forgetting what the American version was called. In the US, in the UK, it was Broadchurch. I can't remember what the American version was called.
I terrible with names. I have no idea. Broadchurch. It's good enough for me. Regardless, he just amazes me again and again at how good he is. Just in terms of the acting, the Luke Cage character, the best friend, it's spot on for role assignments. I think what it reminds me of is how good Firefly was in casting. How they nailed, not necessarily typecasted, but they nailed the characters. The casting director did, and they absolutely just got it spot on with this one too, which is a pleasure. After you see so many bad or miscast people in shows, it's really nice to see one that's cast so correctly. I wasn't sure, frankly, at the beginning with the main character. I wasn't, I could kind of see it a little bit, but I wasn't sure that she'd be able to get the gritty. And she's got the gritty.
She had to reach when it came to this particular role. What I actually really, you were talking about the casting, and you're right, from the top down, it's just absolutely stunning. What I found really interesting was in regards to David Tennant as Kilgrave. It's very much relatable to the Kingpin character from Daredevil. In Daredevil, you had very much a baddie which had an absolute human backstory. You had an engine which drove him. That whole acting cliche of you never play a baddie as a baddie. He's a character, or he or she is a character. It's somebody who has a belief in what they're doing and why they're doing it. They don't just sort of wake up in the morning going, I'm going to rule the world. Ha 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 ha. It's very much, there's a reason for it. With Kilgrave, there's, in much the same way with the Doctor, when you saw, in much the same way with Matt Smith's Doctor as well, that you see the 900 years of backstory going off in the back of what he's doing as a performance. With Kilgrave, you see a lifetime, that growing up where he has this ability to control minds, and how that actually warps how you interact with people and how you actually feel the world should interact with you. That's just genius writing. And remember, this is from the woman that wrote the Twilight series, which just blows my mind. How on earth you can go from something which, if we're really honest, felt like it was doodled in crayon by somebody with one arm tied behind their back, possibly not the writing arm either, to this, it's just an astonishing evolution of writing. It's just staggering. Is there any other elements of the that really stood out for you?
Yes. Can I get my list?
Go for it.
Well, you were talking about the writing, and I think there's two things. One, we could step back and kind of look at the big picture of it. When
you've seen it, let us know on the Q&A and on the Cup of Tea SDC. Where are you up to? It was only launched on Friday morning.
The 20th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let us know where you're up to. Have you binged watched over the last week, over the weekend?
I think everybody is binging. And I was binging with Vera and yeah, dare I say, potato chips yesterday. So I was really binging, being on the diet that I am. But I think one of the things I really liked about it was, and I know that there is canon going on, but I'm not familiar with it. Not having not read the story, it feels like the show is based in our current reality, as opposed to based in the Marvel universe. And I know that there is reference to it, but it feels like the streets of New York, which the Marvel movies don't quite accomplish. They don't, it's not, I mean, now I'm not a New Yorker. I mean, I spent 5 or so years growing up there, and I feel comfortable in the city and all of that. But there's a certain grittiness of New York City that really comes through in the Jessica Jones. It came through a bit in the Daredevil, but not as much as in the Jessica Jones series.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It definitely fit.
Yeah.
As somebody who's only experienced New York from pop culture, I've never actually visited the city. It like it was shot. I mean, although I was curious, there was a couple of long shots. Certainly, I believe in episodes 8 and 9, which are coming up. There's a couple of long shots from top of a building looking out over the city. And I was looking for the Avengers Tower in the background. I was just wondering just how kind of, because it is supposed to be in the absolutely in the MCU. It references
Right.
Captain America. It references the Hulk. Indeed,
Absolutely.
it talks about Luke Cage's kind of. There's this post-traumatic sort of like dissidence against the Hulk about the damage that he did back in the Hulk film, the Edward Norton flick. So there's definitely that lineage there, which I really enjoyed. I mean, the one thing
there is, but the thing that I'm trying to say is that it's the Marvel universe and how it's portrayed in the movies it's slick. It's not slick. You know, this is real. It's and I appreciate that reality. And it carries through into the writing. There's so many truths that if you take, and I should have given examples, but there's so many little nuggets of truths in the whole story. Just like the Joss Whedon, and that's what it keeps coming back to, that style of writing, that where it speaks to these inherent truths of our life. And yeah, without getting too much here,
and
sorry,
getting very deep there.
well, and you know, so I just wanted to hats off to the writers and how they're doing that.
Well, it's one writer. It's the showrunner as well. It's Melissa Rosenberg, I believe, has done the. I'm going to just have a quick look through the
IMBD and see what else she's done, because
well, Melissa Rosenberg is she's not only the scriptwriter for the Twilight films, which we won't hold against him, but well, no, yes, we will. But she's also the showrunner of the start of Dexter, when Dexter first kicked off. But let me just, I'm just trying to find the.
If this doesn't catapult her into a whole nother level, then my faith in people, you know, in this show business world will be devastated. I will be disappointed.
In much the same way that the showrunner for Daredevil has now gone off to
exactly
to bigger things. Melissa Rosenberg did write the first one, and then we had a raft of people that wrote the rest of the series. But Melissa Rosenberg is very much the showrunner for the series, and is very much it leads from that spot where she has dictated the direction of the show. One or two things that I want to point out, which I absolutely was blown away with, because I always keep an eye out on the score and the soundtrack for shows like this, purely because when you've got just a 13 episode run and you want to kind of get that certain tone of a series, Sean Callery, has done the score for this, and it's that jazzy kind of, so like that old school 1950s, and there's several references to that kind of I'm trying to remember how I thought about it. It was very much like that beat detective kind of the gumshoe, that kind of, and there was references to a gumshoe and the kind of, so like there's very much language of that of the Maltese Falcon and the kind of the old style golden age of detective films, which I find absolutely riveting. Sean has done this brilliant score, which I cannot wait to get hold of. I really do hope they release it on iTunes or wherever, because it was just a gorgeous music score that's in this.
I hadn't noticed the music, and usually for me that's a good thing. Well, because I'm not ear focused. I'm much more word and visual focused, having worked in lighting for so many years. You know, it's for me, it's a lot of the visual. So I'm much more concerned about the atmosphere in New York than I am about the music, which says that the music was spot on. Yeah, to me, and I will absolutely pay much more of an attention to it.
It's something that you'd think of watching back, because it says, I haven't actually watched Daredevil since it came out, which kind of intrigues me, that, you know, this series which got so much attention, and I'm interested about people's viewing habits when it comes to something like Netflix, and when it comes to something where people just, when all 13 episodes get launched onto Netflix, is it something that you kind of binge watch? Can you return to it straight? I don't think you can return to it straight away, and kind of, I find that interesting. We've got.
I am going to rewatch the Daredevil. That's excellent. Yeah, that's good. That's next weekend. Okay. Actually, after Castle, what's that other one? Castle High Man in the High Castle.
Man in the High Castle, which I can't actually get the chance to see it yet, because
on Amazon.
Well, that's because my wife has got the Amazon login, and Caroline has been at work this weekend, so I haven't had the chance to kind of ask her for her password. So no, I haven't had the chance to see it, but no, I'm very interested to seeing that as well, because it's definitely interesting that those two shows got launched on the same weekend. But Jessica Jones has definitely been the one that everyone's been talking about. Ian O'Hara binged on Friday and finished the series yesterday. Was really happy with it, and Tennant was freaking scary as hell, which I definitely I second on that. Hoping for season 2. It's now, I'm curious about season 2. Likewise with Daredevil, purely because you then have to weave it into the rest of the timeline. I mean, I did a tweet yesterday where I said the moment when you have the Inhumans, the Doctor Strange, the MCU, and all the new characters of that, with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., with the Netflix cast, all on one screen, if it's ever possible, that's going to be a magical moment. I'm very curious to see how the whole thing's going to weave together in the terms of the timelines, and how it's going to kind of fit in. We also have Janine Lecaro. Started watching it yesterday, watched it while cooking, doing laundry, and finished it about an hour ago. So I think everyone is definitely spent the weekend watching the show.
One thing that's interesting to me, that Marvel has, when it went through its bankruptcy and they sold off, I shouldn't say they sold off, but they
did. They absolutely
sold off a couple of characters. Fantastic Four, Spider-Man. They've really successfully navigated that and brought their secondary characters into fruition, so that they don't have to generate interest in Fantastic Four and Spider-Man. I mean, Marvel can walk away from those two franchises and be completely successful in anything they do. And who would have thought that 10 years ago? You know?
I mean, I seem to remember I was sat in the audience when they were rolling out their phase 2 plans, and the last thing and the last board that came up was Guardians of the Galaxy, and everyone just went,
What?
Yeah, everyone's minds just went, really? That's where you're going. And it's
and who would have thought? I mean, Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
Or, you know, a 10-episode series on Daredevil or The Inhumans or Black Panther.
Okay.
Doctor Strange.
Or Legion.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a bizarre character. Legion, Hellfire.
Mm-hmm.
Where the hell are they? It's almost like, I mean, if you ever get the chance, do watch Honest Trailers and watch the Honest trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy, because it basically just says, listen, you will watch anything we put out now, as long as it's got Marvel Studios printed on the front of the credits, you'll go and see it. And
absolutely.
Whatever.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of those things that very few people really have the vision thing. And Marvel Studios has the vision thing. Steve Jobs had it. You know, there are a few people in our culture that really push us forward into thinking about things differently, and Marvel Studios is one of them, in my opinion.
Kevin Feige, salutes to you, sir. We've got a couple more Q&As, statements coming in. Janine Licaro. Now, I wanted to say this one, just to mention it, because I want to see what Alyssa's reaction to it. I've already recommended it to my kids and friends. You've recommended it to your kids?
No. Her kids are not are older. I know her kids. They're
How old
older.
are these kids? There are
not preteen. No.
Okay. There are a couple of episodes. Let's put it this way. I'm not going to be watching this series with my mum. There are a couple of scenes involving Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. I will not be watching the show with my mum.
Yes.
I liked the way that they did reference the Marvel movies, where it flowed with the scene and it didn't detract from what was going on. Absolutely, it didn't just go, here's the MCU reference. It didn't.
Right.
Yeah, it just kind of cracked on with it, which was really cool. Corgi Commander, hello, Jason. Heading off now to the Once Upon a Time panel. Take care. So, unfortunately, he won't be watching at this point. But he does ask the question, which we'll talk about. Does Marvel continue, or should Marvel continue, the individual character seasons, or should they just do a Defender series? That is the plan. As far as I'm aware, they've got another series of Daredevil coming out. You've got Luke Cage, which comes out, I believe, next year. I believe there's an Iron Fist series coming.
Yes.
I'm
another one of my favorite. Yeah, when I was growing up, Luke Cage, Power Man, and Iron Power. Too excited I am. Iron Fist and Power Man. You know, Daredevil, Silver Surfer, all of these characters. I always liked the lesser known characters. I was never that big.
I felt it's like the 1970s. I don't know who the writers or the editors were of that particular period, but there's definitely that feeling of kind of experimentation with, let's introduce new characters. Let's not just rely on these core characters which have made us so much money. Let's actually release some new ones. So yeah, you've got those characters, and then they are all coming together for a Defender series. How that's going to work, I have no idea.
But to his question, in my opinion, I would love to see them stick with the individual characters, because I think this brings the backstory out so well of the Marvel Universe in a way that the big Defenders, Avengers, multi-character shows cannot do. They just don't have the screen time to do. But if you get a 10-episode series that actually can devote time to character development, like this Jessica Jones ones did, one of the forum members actually said that they preferred this one, Jessica Jones, and forgive me for not remembering who said this, preferred Jessica Jones over Daredevil because there were less fight scenes and it was more character development. So that's, and you can only do that on the small screen. You can't do that on the big screen. So, you know, save the Defenders for the big screen, in my opinion, and keep the small screen to character development.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on this one.
Okay.
I think the Defenders will work on a small screen, but it would work kind of like the one thing that kind of struck me about Jessica Jones is that it felt very much like that first episode of that first series of 24, where you felt the multiple arcs working around each other. You weren't too sure what was going on in the background. I think with the Defenders you could have that thing where you have them working in the context of a series, but certainly doing different storylines, weaving around each other. I think it would. I think it could work, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what they're doing. But then again, I'm very curious to see what the MCU are going to do with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because, quite frankly, we've got Inhumans coming, and I want to know how they're going to tie in the whole Inhumans thing that they're doing with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, I would absolutely love that by the time we get to Infinity War and by the time we get to Defenders and Iron Fist on screen, that everything is just one big ball, small screen, big screen, the whole thing just works as a whole. I can't wait to see that. Let's see what go on.
Sure. One thing just that kind of hit me out of left field was after The Walking Dead here in the States, there's been a show that just premiered called Into the Badlands. Okay. And now, I have a history of liking bad TV shows. So okay. I'm really curious as to what everybody else is thinking about this one. I haven't heard a lot of chatter on it, but I haven't been paying attention either. Mind wrapped up in other things. But I've really liked it. I liked the premiere episode of it. Granted, just one, but the fight scenes were good. It seemed, to my mind, a little bit too much wire work, but at least it seemed like the main character actually had some fighting experience as opposed to... Well, a pet peeve of mine is in Arrow, where they've got, that girl who learned how to fight in 6 months. I mean, come on. Really? And she can't land a punch.
You really want to lay into this, don't you?
Yes, build it to lay into this. I would like to hear what other people think about Into the Badlands. Okay. Too. Anything else? Just wrapping up on Jessica Jones.
Let's think. What I will say is that I don't think it actually needed or warranted 13 episodes. There are some sections, certainly in the back 6. Where it just felt like they were padding a little bit, perhaps, and I'm trying to work out.
Don't take away any of the episodes from Jessica Jones. I loved every scene.
No. I mean, I think they could have trimmed some scenes and they could have kind of condensed. I'm just wondering if it was more a case of Netflix insisting on a 13-episode run. I don't know, but I will say that it still holds up. I think it's a very strong show. I still think at the moment it is the best television we've had for a while.
But all of the writing, if they cut anything, what you would lose is character development and some of the gems in writing. And the writing, to my mind, is just phenomenal. It's the best thing I've seen on television in a long, long time. Okay. For just pure writing, like I would like to read the script of this, kind of thing. It's one thing I kept wanting to write down, just some of the gems.
Yeah, but don't you want a little bit less of the neighbor's sister? Just a little bit.
Just a little bit less of the neighbor's sister. Totally.
Excellent stuff.
Yeah,
I think let's put it this way: if you haven't watched it yet, just go and see, because just find somebody with a Netflix account or sign it up. If you've got, I don't know if they do this in the States, but here in the UK they do kind of like a trial thing where they allow you to sign up and sort of like get your first month free. You can do Jessica Jones in a weekend. God knows we've proved it.
And it's in the States, it's $8 a month. Just do it. I mean, where can you get that much entertainment for $8 for streaming? You can't.
It's called the BBC.
I mean, that's the cost of 2 Blu-rays. Black Friday pricing.
Yeah.
So shall we talk about Black Friday?
Very, very quickly, let's do just a couple of final bits and pieces when it comes to the Q&A. Ian O'Hara's actually got a couple of questions. If Daredevil and Jessica Jones do cross over to the MCU movie universe, do you think they will make people confused with the addition of new characters for people that haven't possibly seen the Netflix series? I understand and appreciate that. I think with a decent writer and a decent way of folding it into I think you can fold backwards and forwards. I think it's just down to how it's presented. I don't think people can get confused purely because they do recognize there's a larger world out there. That's my take on it.
That makes complete sense. The difficulty is in the writers trying to fold too much in, I think is what Ian's trying to get to. And as long as I think the studio execs don't micromanage the writers,
yeah,
we'll be doing good. At least that's my take on it.
Fair enough. Okay, and last but not least, forgive me if you've talked about this. He's been busy with work and he didn't catch last week's episode, but what did you think of the pre-registration hiccups for San Diego Comic-Con badge sale last weekend before? No, it was last weekend. It just feels like so long ago. The one I have sent off a couple of emails to both Epic and to CCI. I haven't had a reply back. Maybe it's because they are still trying to work out exactly what was going on themselves. But I think Ian's talking about that hour that happened prior to the pre-registration badge sale.
I agree.
As far as I could tell from all the evidence that I've looked at, it does seem like it was just the equivalent of a DDoS attack. It was just too many people logging in those first 5 minutes, which the waiting room was supposed to kind of combat. But at the end of the day, I think people were just curious and they just fired in.
I'm not sure it was a DDoS, but the equivalent of. I think that there was a problem and they solved it.
Yeah.
And for pre-reg, I don't think we're going to have that same problem. We'll find another problem for CCI to deal with.
Oh yes. Oh, for open online registration. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sure we will.
Like, how big is the waiting room really? How many people can it hold? I mean, because, speaking of Gen Reg, I know that in my buying group, we're starting to work on some, and I would encourage other buying groups to also work on some guidelines, some rules of conduct. Our rules of conduct are kind of boiling down into you can only be in one buying group. If you're in one buying group, all of your extra slots are to go to people in that buying group. If you have friends and family, they also need to be in that buying group. So you're welcome to buy for your friends and family, but all of your friends and family need to be in the buying group so that any extra slots that you have go to the buying group.
Yeah.
And that in an essence is it. And I would encourage anybody who's thinking about that to being in a buying group and or is in a buying group to think that through.
I mean, the one example that I've got for that is that we have a number of buying groups that I'm aware of, and certainly I know of some people that have logged in and joined a buying group in the, say for example, the UK attendees group, but has also joined a buying group on another forum or another group, and that one just happens to have gotten my badge, and then just completely left the other group high in the wind. Yep. Commit.
The one last thing I didn't say is you got to be there to the end of the thing. Yeah. So there's I think it's going to be interesting to see how things work for Gen Reg, since things, since the groups seem to be developing a little bit more structure to them, which I think is a very good thing, personally.
Okay. Right then, this is where I'm going to have to now completely defer to Alyssa's expertise on this one, because I don't do shopping. I don't do shopping at all. I'm the one that is caught pushing the cart around the supermarket, looking at my phone, finding something interesting to do while this nonsense happens in a supermarket. I don't do it. I hate it. I don't do shopping. However, Black Friday, whee! Is it next weekend?
It's next weekend, but what I'm hearing in general is that there's a move. We don't have the lower thirds on, so people can't see what you're doing. There's a move by store owners to kind of shift focus from Black Friday into a month-long or a week-long savings thing, and that certainly is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of deals going on now, and not so much when I see previews of things that are going down on Black Friday. There's not so much focus on the doorbusters. I think people are like Target and all of those places are starting to realize that if they have doorbusters, it's the CCI problem. You don't want a booth that's going to say, okay, the first 200 people to my booth will get this super fabulous exclusive, because you're going to get people breaking down the doors. And I think that it's starting to get into some of the other, the Walmarts and all of that they're going to start kind of backing off on that sort of stuff and selling it online. I'm debating about whether or not I'm actually going to go out and do shopping. If I can get one, oh my God, I can't believe him.
What?
I'm thinking about buying like one of those Fitbit things.
Hey, listen. You're the one that keeps going on and about talking about how we really should concentrate on getting ourselves fit for Comic-Con, for cons generally, because it is now more of an effort that we have to. But you know what? Fitbits are fun.
It's the technology. I'm a technology. I'm a gearhead. I always have been a gearhead. I will always be. It's why I like traditional rock climbing, because I get to have these massive racks of gear and placement and and all that sort of stuff. And that's why I build computers. I'm halfway through buying the parts for my computers. Newegg is doing a really good sale starting tomorrow at 1 o'clock Pacific time. So they're high on my list. I think Entertainment Earth has started with their sale. I know that ThinkGeek has got a few items on there that look really fun. All of the clothing stores have started. I know Old Navy is doing a 50% off currently. I think somebody else said there's a few, the Gap and all of those places are doing that too.
Yeah.
I'm calling up the thread to rattle off some more, some more things that, Dockers, I got Kohl's is doing one. I was able to get a big bunch of stuff from Go Hastings does a DVD they sell used DVDs online, and they had a 40% off coupon. So I picked up, if anybody remembers, I've been talking about my Game of Thrones problem. My son won't let me watch the Game of Thrones Lewis, he won't let me watch the series until I read the first book. And if anybody also knows me, people know that I have a problem reading. I can't read things longer than a paragraph or two due to ADD stuff. And So I was anyway. I was able to pick up 3 seasons of Game of Thrones for like $30. So which is pretty cool. Go Hastings is their thing. I've also started to put together a thread on the forum for comic vendors, comic stores. It looks as though Midtown Comics, who does online retail, is going to be having they're going to start some stuff off at 25% off. So it's worth doing a drive-by and seeing if any of those guys. Check your local comic book store too, because I'm seeing a bunch of them doing sales.
Some people have been very surprised that they haven't kind of jumped on the whole Black Friday thing, that the comic book shops haven't kind of really taken it on board as well.
They seem like they are.
Comic book fans need the love too.
Yep. DC Digital announced a Cyber Monday sale. Digital comics will be a buy one, get one free. I'm reading off of the thing now.
Sure.
Annual shopping event this holiday season. One day only, November 30th. Exclusive on Comixology and readdceentertainment.com. All ebooks and periodicals over 90 days old will be available as a buy one, get one free of lesser value. So if somebody does want to look at the canon for Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, get prepped for all these.
I can also tell you as well that Comixology are also doing a Jessica Jones discount at 50% off. It's very handy if the comics are something that you haven't read before, and I can hold my hands up on this one as well. I've not actually done Jessica Jones in the comics before, so no, they are doing 50% off, and that's on Comixology if you do get your comics digitally. I know there's 1 or 2 people out there that do that.
The big boo-boo that I just did. I segued from DC into Jessica Jones and Iron Fist. Okay, 50 lash.
Okay. Fair enough. We've got ourselves a couple of comments on the Q&A. Janine Licaro, I love reading, but still have not been able to make it through the first book of Game of Thrones. Neither have I. I'm going to hold my hands up on that one as well. Also, Craig Linders is saying,
I love the episodic long, I mean, I read War and Peace, and I reread the trilogy, the Lord of the Rings trilogy a gazillion times. I just am at a phase of my life where I'm just not doing the reading. So love the long books.
It's something where at the end of the day, I absolutely agree with these creatives, Alan Moore, Mark Miller, the whole works, where they turn around and say they can create something, and they've created a comic or they've created a book. Fine, that sits on the shelf and is perfectly intact. I mean, when people turn around and say, well, aren't you afraid that the television show or the adaptation has ruined the original book? The book hasn't been ruined. It's there on a shelf. It's going nowhere. That's how it looks, and that's how it is. So I see them as 2 totally different entities, in much the same way that I see Lord of the Rings, the films and the books, as 2 totally different entities. For a kickoff, Frodo doesn't look 80, which he should do. He's an old man. Okay, let's work past that, shall we? Right. We've also got Craig Linders is saying, Alyssa, my wife says the Jawbone noob, cheap version, or get the Jawbone. Says it's better in her opinion than the Fitbit. As somebody who doesn't do exercise too much, I'm going to have to defer to more experienced minds on this one. So there we go. There's the Jawbone. You have to do a bit of research into that. Let's see what else. We've got Carl Clement. Hello, Carl. Man in the High Castle came out on Friday. Watched it Saturday and Sunday. How many episodes of Man in the High Castle are there? I thought it was just the one. Are they doing kind of like a rollout, or have they done the whole thing where they've just...
No, they rolled out one, and then I think they rolled out the other 13 or the other 10. I'm not sure, but there's a full length. There's a full
series out there.
Yeah, full series out.
Fair enough. something I'm gonna have to look into that then, because like I say, I mean, I've actually seen more trailers for Man in the High Castle than I have done for Jessica Jones this time around. I mean, it says a lot about Amazon Prime that here in the UK we are seeing a lot of adverts for Mr. Robot. Just nothing but that's been and gone, but they are absolutely pushing Mr. Robot. So I can imagine it's something that 6 months down the line they then kind of return to advertise. I think I've just got one more thing I want to talk about, but is there anything else, Alyssa?
No, I'm trying to. Actually, there's a movie that's coming out this weekend that I'm trying to remember the name of it. That's coming out at the end of this month with Bryan Cranston in it. I think it's called Trumbo, is going to be out on Thanksgiving. It's about the blacklist, the McCarthy blacklist that went down in the 40s and 50s in Hollywood. The writing looks smart and witty and cutting and everything that I love about good writing. In addition to good actors, I think Helen Mirren, is that her name?
Helen Mirren.
Yeah, I think she's in it. It's an amazing cast. If you get a chance and want to see something that's not sci-fi, like go with some of your smart cousins over Thanksgiving and catch that one. If
you're a sci-fi fan, you're not smart.
No. I meant smart in terms of, say you're stuck at the family gathering and you need to get out with your cousins because the parents are getting on your nerves. take the fun cousins, because for me and my family, it's the cousins that are we hang together, and go out and catch this one. Who may not be into sci-fi, and go out and catch that movie.
I mean, I've got a couple of films that are kind of upcoming, which I want to keep an eye out for. It's nothing but sci-fi, scarily enough.
Midnight Special. Go on and on about the sci-fi movies.
Midnight Special. I'm very much interested in seeing. This has got Michael Shannon in it. This is a boy, a young boy, is his son, which has abilities, but it's a case of, okay, where have those abilities come from? People are after to find out more about him, to dissect him, to do what, and it's about a father protecting his son, and kind of. That looks interesting. Very kind of sort of like indie production as well. So it's very kind of taking things definitely away from that kind of big budget kind of vibe. So there's that, which I'm interested in. Moonwalkers sounds vaguely interesting as well, which is about the faking of the Apollo moon landing, where a CIA agent is sent off to find Stanley Kubrick to fake the Apollo moon landing, and is conned by Rupert Grint from the Harry Potter films. That looks interesting. I'm very curious about that. And of course, there's Star Wars coming up as well, which at 2 o'clock last night, apparently J.J. Abrams finished the mix. Ladies and gentlemen, that film is done.
There is speaking of Star Wars, there's an absolutely wonderful little. Did you see that outtake on the casting? Oh, somebody posted that on the forum. Andrew posted that on the forum. An outtake with JJ introducing like some of the casting outtakes that they.
I thought it was an SNL sketch.
Oh yes, it was an SNL stat. Oh jeez, God.
SNL sketch.
Thank you.
But no, the film is done.
Mm-hmm.
Ready to go. The one thing I'm ready for now is the John Williams score. Let's have some of that out, if you don't mind. Thank you very much indeed. Right, I think the one other thing that I want to talk about is what I managed to pick up at Thought Bubble. What I'm going to be doing as of shortly after this hangout is making live a raffle copter for, well, it's a raffle draw for the Judge Death Mondo Tees 2000 AD poster, which if I go to here on my screen and pull up screen share, I should be able to put onto the screen now. Hopefully you can see that. It is an absolutely staggering print, and I can tell you right now it's absolutely huge. This is a print which I'm trying to remember the artist that's actually done this. And I feel I'm hoping that I'm not actually screen sharing my entire desktop at this point, because I'm now going to go to my reference, because I want to just check. It's by Florian Bertner, who's done this, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Well, you can win one of those. The one that I picked up and has been thankfully provided to us by Mondo Tees at the Thought Bubble Festival last weekend. We've got one to give away. So between now and next weekend, if you want to go to an Englishman.com, go to the competitions tab at the top of the page, and we are going to be doing a Rafflecopter draw for this Judge Death poster. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's absolutely huge. It's going to require me a poster tube and a half to get it to whoever it is finally going to get it, but it's a free thing to enter. All you have to do is just take part in the Rafflecopter, which will mostly involve following me on Twitter and social media, and Friends of CC on Twitter and social media as well. But all you have to do is take part in the Rafflecopter, and we will announce the winner of that on this Hangout next week. So there we go. That's hopefully something that you'd be interested for. If you're not, tell somebody who is. If you have somebody who's a 2000 AD or a Mondo fan, considering that I believe this is a 1 in 125, Alyssa? I'm trying to remember the numbers.
I thought you had said 175, 175.
It's still pretty limited edition.
Yes.
So it's a hell of a print. We are giving that away, and you will be able to find out more about that on an Englishman.com in the next couple of hours. I'll make sure that Rafflecopter is going to be live very soon indeed. Okay. Anything else that we want to talk about before we wrap things up?
I don't think so. Next week, I think our mission next week is to watch Man in a High Castle, and and give feedback on that one.
Fair enough. What I will say is what we're wanting to try and make this definitely a roundtable affair, and we want to try and get some more people on the Hangout to talk to us about the things that we're interested about when it comes to Comic-Con. So do spread the word about anybody that you would like to see join us on the Hangout in terms of guests. You can either DM me at my Twitter, which is Englishman SDCC, or you can send an email to me as well. All the contact details are on an Englishman.com. If there's any bloggers, anybody that you would like to see on the Hangout, let us know, and we'll see if we can get them on, especially if there's any topics that you want us to talk about on the Hangout. Thank you very much indeed. Once again to Alyssa, thank you very much indeed for taking time out of your Sunday.
Oh, you're welcome. I enjoy it, and it's really helpful to me to actually speak about the Jessica Jones and hear what other people are thinking about it, because it is such, in my opinion, such a pivotal piece. Yeah,
I would certainly agree that it's possibly the best. Well, then again, I'd say the best television of the last 12 months, but we've had Daredevil as well, and that was pretty damn good. So people can find you, Alyssa, where?
On PM me on the forum. At my username is Alyssa, and I am on the friendsofcc.com/forum.
Do check out the forum as well, because it has had a bit of a redesign, and the new blog, I believe, is up and running. And if you are wanting to write for the blog as well, if there's anything, perhaps you want to do a review of Jessica Jones and want to post it on there, do get in contact with Alyssa at friendsofcc.com. You can.
To say one more thing, if I may, interrupt you yet again. Would like to welcome I brought Joe Pare on as a new admin on the forum to handle the technical stuff, to take some of the load off of me so that I can focus more on the people and building the community. And I've also brought on another organizer for hotels, and yes, because hotels are coming up.
Yes, indeed.
Organizer for hotels and badges. So hopefully we'll be able to remain a little bit more organized throughout the upcoming months.
I have no idea what organization is, so I'm gonna I'll have to leave you alone on that one. Okay. Thank you very much indeed. You can find me at Englishman SDCC on Twitter. You can also find me on Facebook at facebook.com/an Englishman in San Diego. And of course, you can find me at Google at google.com/+an Englishman in San Diego. Basically, if you just type in an Englishman in San Diego on Google, you'll find me. If you want to get in contact, we would love to hear from you. And hopefully we'll find you here next week as we do another Talking Comic-Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. Thank you very much indeed. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and don't work too hard next week. We'll see you next Sunday.
Bye-bye.